Welcome to Frank Pello Reports, a feature where Frank shares conversations with members of our community.
Hello, this is Frank. I'm here talking to James Allister Henry about his book, Pagans. Welcome.
Thank you very much. It's nice to be here in Kimberley Park.
Yeah, so you are a locally based author. How long have you been down this way?
Well, I lived in Falmouth for a long time. So I moved down when that was about 9 or 10 or something, which would be 84. I can't do the sums. And I moved around the place after university, and I've ended up. I'm now in Penryn, so I've effectively moved like slightly down the road in about 35 years.
So was it the ambition to be back in the southwest?
Yeah, I think so. I got together with my partner who was in London, and she wanted kids, and I thought, yeah, I don't really want London children, with all due respect to London children. And I've got my quite a lot of family down here, so I thought, let's just come down here. So it's a big jump. She's originally from north of Scotland, and then London, so it was quite a big jump for her. But it seems to have worked out all right. And we have 2 lovely Cornish children, so it's all worked out okay.
And was it your previous experience in Cornwall that had you involve Celts in your book?
Yeah, kind of. The book's set in that slightly weird alternate present where Britain is still split between Celts and Saxons, like the West and the East, and Scotland's a whole separate country, which is more like Norse. It's more like Vikings. Weirdly, I ended up living in Canterbury for quite a long time, so that's right over in the East. And it was just strange I realised then how different the culture was from originally from far west, and then you go over to the far east, which is not the far east, but it's only it's the same country, and it's just pretty much mostly white people. It shouldn't feel that different, but there was something very different about the culture. It was much more kind of aggressive and in your face, but also kind of people were friendly more quickly as well. It was quite odd, and I just got really interested in this idea that instead of the north-south divide, which people go on about, which is kind of a thing, but if you're in the southwest, you're right off to one side of it. It doesn't really affect you. So there was kind of more of an east-west divide, and it seemed more culturally interesting, which has to do with, I guess, the Saxons coming over to the east and sort of pushing the, in quotes, indigenous people, the Celts, kind of over to the west, to the far west, and to Wales, and to an extent up into Scotland. It was like a weird cultural divide that had never really occurred to me before, but it was quite striking when you were in the middle of it. And
you have a lot of fun with this in your book.
Oh, yes. Yes, so putting it in kind of modern term, yeah. So in this, but it's mostly set in Saxon England, in London, really. So the Celts are very much second-class citizens. They're quite oppressed. It's always nice to feel oppressed, isn't it? When you're really oppressed. So it's quite a fun way of writing about kind of ethnic tensions in almost a harmless way. It's not that harmless, but there's a lot of parallels you can draw to modern. It's kind of, in a way, it's very ancient. It's Celts versus Saxons, but also everyone's got mobile phones. They drive around in cars. There are police. There are crimes to be solved and that sort of thing. So it's like half very familiar and half quite weird and hopefully quite alien.
You don't overplay it. You don't keep going on about how Christianity is not the main religion, or that North America is not the main cultural points. But these things do sort of creep in, and it made me smile each time something like that came to pass. Yeah,
there's something fun in getting the readers do a lot of the work. Because originally the idea was it was just Britain was a sort of backward country that never really amounted to anything. But the problem is, of course, when you take Britain out of history, you've affected so much of the rest of the world that it would just be completely different. So it became more a thing where Christianity had never taken off, so the rest of the world is very different. So Pan-Africa is a sort of superpower, it's like the equivalent of the United States, and there's an Islamic caliphate to the south. So Southern Europe is kind of very liberal, kind of Islamic. And Britain is, people still worship, Odin, or if they're Celts, they worship their own gods. But the fun thing about that is it's all from the point of view of 2 cops who are trying to solve a killing, track down a serial killer, essentially. So that they're not, it's from their point of view, so they're not going to suddenly stop and discuss what's the situation in the Middle East right now, because it's not relevant to their thing. So you can sort of drip feed in what the rest of the world is like. And I think accidentally that ended up involving the reader, I think, a lot more than I expected, which is really good. People seem to really enjoy puzzling together what the rest of the world is like without me stopping and going, right, so here Pan-Africa is this, and the Southern Caliphate is this, and this is what's going on in South America. And, you know, you don't really have to do that. You could just let the reader make little sort of inferences, which is fun.
So this is a book that maybe I would have read, but I got so many recommendations from my literary and sort of fantasy friends saying, I've read this book, it's such wonderful world building, I really enjoyed it, you should check it out. And it was the variety of people that were talking to me about the book that surprised me.
Yeah, that's really lovely. Well, initially the thing that made it very difficult to get it published, so I think like 28 or something publishers turned it down, I can't remember. It's because all the crime publishers are going, well, this is a bit too science fiction and weird for us, or fantasy. And then the fantasy publishers were like, this is a bit too much crimey for us. This isn't quite our thing. And then Moonflower, who the publisher who took it on right at the last minute when we'd almost given up, they were just happy. They just wanted commercial fiction, but it was slightly weird. And then suddenly, so when I did a book signing, there'd be people coming up who said, I normally only read crime novels. I never read sort of fantasy science fiction, but I like this. And there'd be other people who go, I never read crime, I only read fantasy, and this is like a whole new thing for me. And it was like, suddenly all the things that made it quite difficult to get published kind of turn around and appeal to lots of different people. So that was really interesting. I hadn't expected that at all.
So you're going to be like a gateway from one genre to the next for readers.
Yes, oddly, it's quite. I mean, one guy was very sweet, and he said, "I've never read any alt history before. So what other text should I read before I read this?" I was like, "There's no homework. Just read it and enjoy it. Hopefully, enjoy it. That'll be fine. There's not like set. I have actually written done a list at the back of other. If you're interested in alternate history, there's a list of really good other books you could read. But you don't have to read them before you understand that. So yeah, in a weird way, it's like a little gateway book that's getting people to sort of go off in a slightly different genre than perhaps they've normally spent time reading.
So you've got a history with lots of very household name programs on television, and there's a feeling that this could be a wonderful TV series. So is that something that might happen?
Possibly, yeah. I've sold. I mean, everyone who's written the book has probably had the option taken at some point. So yeah, there's a US company who got the rights to it, and they're going to start taking it out to places fairly soon. But yeah, it's in a weird way. It's not that I'm not that bothered. It's very nice. It'll be great if it happens, but I'm not that involved with it because I just don't want to. I spent enough time in television. I'd rather just get on and write the second and third book, rather than worrying about casting and who's going to does this bit of the plot quite work, and we can't afford to do this bit, so we'll do something else. So I don't have to worry about that. So yeah, it'd be nice. It'd be great if it happens, and it may well happen, but you have to sort of just put it to one side and get on with it.
And how are things going with book 2 and potentially 3? Yeah,
well, the plan is to do 3 altogether, rather than like a series that goes on forever. I think 3 would be great. No, book 2. I've written the first draft of book 2. That is with my agent my editor at the moment. So she's going to get back to me with some notes, and then we'll see how much rewriting there is to do. And while I'm waiting for that, I've started a third book, but it's nothing to do with Pagans. It's just a weird fancy thing I just want to write, just because it's fun. Because I think having done 2 quite intricate crime dramas in a row, I want to do something a bit less. It's still got a plot, but something a bit less reliant on constantly making sure the plot moves forward. Is something I could be silly with. So I'm kind of doing that at the moment, which is really good fun.
Well, I'm going to be keeping a close eye on the local booksellers and libraries to see when your new book comes out. Can you just give us a direction for if people want to find out more about yourself and the book?
Well, I used to be on Twitter and I abandoned that, so I'm on Blue Sky. I think just James Allister Henry on Blue Sky. The book, the second one, should be out beginning of next year as a plan for that one. So I imagine they'll be getting me out to do lots of publicity. It's surprisingly good fun, actually. So I might be on Sky News again talking about it, which is a very bizarre thing to happen. But yeah, hopefully beginning of next year, book 2 should be out, which would be great.
Fantastic. And this one is called Pagans, 2 cops, 1 killer, hundreds of gods, is what it says on the front.
Yes.
So yeah, this is Frank handing it back to the studio.